What's up, guys? Zaid here, and today I'm gonna be doing a first time ever deck profile on a deck I actually fucking own. On this channel, if you've noticed, I borrow every deck I play at locals, and so I don't really ever pick up decks. But this is a deck that I've been working on, and I really enjoy it, so I figured I'd show you all the profile. It's actually a if you check my channel, I was inactive for like almost a year, I think, but my first video coming back was a combo tutorial on the Infernity deck. And so I decided to build the deck. And so I'm going to show y'all what I'm working with for the October format. I'm going to get right into the main. For the Infernity monsters, we got an Archfiend because it's still at 1, triple Necromancer, triple Mirage, and 1 Patriarch. I've seen lists where people don't play the Mirage at 3, but I'll show you guys as I get into the spells why I opted to max out on this card. And then for this Fiend package we play 3 Tour Guide, the Archfiend Eris, and the Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and then 3 Stygian Street Patrol. These cards are like kind of the heart and soul of the deck. Your Cherubini is the main starter in this deck, and Tour Guide gets it on its own, while also being able to summon the Rhino. So even if they like use an interruption on Cherubini, which there aren't any good ones to use, by the way, you're only really making Cherubini for the Rhino, so being able to Tour Guide in a Rhino just like is kind of crazy. And then the Rhino makes it so that if you don't make Cherubini off of Tour Guide into Rhino, that Cherubini could send this in order to dump this. And it makes it Cherubini's cost, so you need to be able to have the Rhino send Rhino to send Eris if you need to trigger Eris to search Archfiend. So it just kind of like fills the gaps and makes your Cherubini way more versatile and your Tour Guide way more versatile. And then Street Patrol is like extra important because it helps you get the monsters out of your hand, but it also banishes itself, so then you could Leviair it back. So Leviair takes 2 monsters to make and then summons us back, so it's still 2 monsters, so you don't lose out on a board advantage to use for link material. But you also get this resource back to be able to keep summoning the Mirage as you search off of the Archfiend. And if you're not able to access this card, it does hinder your plays, but not in the sense that like you can't do the full combo. It just makes it a little harder to do. And the next monster package we play is the Danger package. 2 Nessie because he just came back to 2. And then 1 of each level 3. And then 3 Mothman. The level 3s are the best ones. Like, if these cards, if either of them go to 2, it would be really good for this deck. Because, like I said, Cherubini is, like, the selling point. You kind of have to make Cherubini to go into any combo in this deck. And so these cards help you do that a lot. And then Nessie isn't that good based on its level. But it does just put a monster on board for links and digs. And it's guaranteed to put a monster on board. Because, like, even if you miss, you just search the 3 and then you're golden. You'd, like, almost rather hit this. If you open multiple dangers, too, like, if my hand consists of like Mothman, Nessie, and some other shit, I'm like always activating this first because you want to hit this. You would feel like insane if you hit this, summon this, get to search this out. Now you have a 3 and a 4 extender to help your plays out. Mothman's the only questionable one, but going game 1, I feel like this is the one I'd rather have because if you go first, this is the only other one that if hit provides you resources still. It sucks that your opponent gets to draw 1, discard 1, because it might proc an effect of theirs. But there was a time where I hit my opponent with this, and they pitched Aerial and got to interact with my graveyard. That really sucked, but it's the only one that exists that gives you value if hit going first. And so I feel like that's pretty important. And then these also synergize with the spell engine. So I'll show you some of the spells I play next. We got the 1 of Launcher. I feel like every card that's hit in this deck could probably come back except Launcher. If Launcher goes to like 2 or 3, it could be bad for Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if the deck would still be like, if it would ever be tier 1 if this went to like 2, but it would just be a very not fun deck to have to run up against. But in the spirit of this, we also play a Reborn and a Succession. They're not as powerful and they're not searchable. But there's a lot of hands where like you struggle to get to the first special summon of an Archfiend. And so these kind of just help you do that. And they're very powerful for extending too if you get hand trapped. This is probably the most powerful spell, dude. Aside from Launcher. Void Apocalypse. Void Apocalypse discards for cost and then sends for effect. And I believe it procs the dangers. Let me make sure I read it real quick. Da, 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 da. Yeah, this card's discarded. So these proc the dangers, which is like really useful already. And then you can send the Rhino or the Heiress or the Street Patrol or any of the Infernity monsters you need. So it really just like is any card you need it to be whenever you need it to be. So that card is like the best card in the deck spell wise, except for Launcher. When you see this, it's like you're guaranteed to have the combo, I think. And then one Foolish, kind of the same thing, except you don't discard, but we get to play 4. And if you draw 2 of these, it's once per turn, so like drawing this is like really good because you could use both of them. And then we play a 1-for-1. This card is one of the reasons that I opt to max out on Mirage. Because sometimes when you're 1-for-1ing for a Mirage, it might not be live yet at that point. So you're kind of just using it for link fodder to get started. And so you still want to have access to the 2 Mirages to activate in deck. And then also we play triple Allure. This is where some of the cards like the triple Mothman that sometimes suck going first because they could proc your opponent's effect. And the Mirage that's kind of a brick unless you're already playing. They kind of have like synergy with the Allure where I can allure away the Mothman and I no longer have to worry about my opponent getting to activate or get to draw 1, discard 1, and possibly draw into more hand traps or discard something that's going to interrupt me. And then the Mirage, if you banish it, you're going to be able to summon it back later off Leviair. So the Allure into Mirage is like actually a combo piece. It feels like a +1, even though technically card economy wise, you're going break even. You're loading up a Leviair for the future, and Leviair is going to bring this back. That's going to bring 2 of the level 3. I forget his name. The Necromancer. You're going to bring 2 Necromancer, which are both going to float. So this being banished turns into 4 link materials at some point in the duel. And then we got some draw spells to round out the spells. 2 Popper Up, 1 card destruction. So I think when Popper Up resolves, it's better than card destruction because it doesn't make your opponent do it. And your opponent's discard sometimes could be bad for you. You also, like, if they haven't hand trapped you and you do this, it's kind of risky because maybe, like, they didn't have the hand trap and now they do. But the Popper Up also, if you draw them in multiples in, like, one hand, it's okay. Like, if my opening hand is this, and 2 other cards, it's fine. Or even if it was triple Popper Up and 2 other cards, it's fine because you can discard the Popper Ups for Popper Up. But because I play 7 Dangers, 3 Allure, and the Popper Ups, I don't want to resolve a Popper Up and then draw into a Popper Up later on because then it's going to be a dead card. And in this deck, you're not playing a tier 1 deck, like you're playing Infernity, so you kind of want all your cards to do something. You can't really dead draw a lot of cards. And then for the traps, we just play 3 Barrier. Some people play the Regeki Break one. That card sucks. Like, that no one plays Regeki Break in Yu-Gi-Oh! Why would you want to search one? Usually 3 barriers plus a bunch of link monsters should win the game, and if it doesn't, the pop one wasn't going to work for you anyways. And then there's another one, Succession, that I believe it's like a monster negate when your opponent has no cards in hand. Or not when your opponent, when you have no cards in hand, it's a monster negate. And people play it to play through around Nibiru. But if your opponent knows how to read cards and isn't complete garbage, they're never going to Nibiru you when you have no cards in hand after you search that. Like, anytime you resolve an Archfiend to search, that's when they're going to Nibiru you, when you have the one in hand. And so I feel like that card might get you like a win if you play it at your locals the first time you play it. Like, you run this deck, you just built it, maybe play that card as a one of the first time you do. But after that, people are going to be like, oh, maybe I just hold the Nibiru till he searches one, and then you're going to get hard punished for playing the card, and then you're going to dead draw it sometimes. And I only wanted to play the traps that mattered because I don't want to draw these anyways. And then I'll get into the extra deck now. The main deck, 40 cards. It feels really, really like clean. I don't know what I would change. Any card you could add feels like an inconsistent thing to do. Like, there's a lot of cards that increase the ceiling, but they lower the consistency, and the ceiling's already so high that, like, I just want to do the combo. For the extra deck, we got the Cheer Beanie. This card is, like, the main combo enabler. Like I said, you send the Rhino to send Street Patrol or Heiress, and then you get whatever you need at the time. And if you already have access to those, like, say you went Tour Guide into Rhino, made Cheer Beanie, and then Tour Guide, or the Rhino is going to send already your Street Patrol or Heiress, whatever you need, then this can dump the Necromancer to load you up on having access to 2 Necromancers. Because that's kind of like, in this deck, there's not an exact combo, but there's kind of a sequencing you do where with your Archfiend searches, you want to get access to 2 Necromancers, and then Launcher, and then the barriers. And so this kind of just lets you cheat into that second Necromancer quicker sometimes. And then we have IP and Barricade Board Blocker. These mainly come up to just be links, like to link climb. This one I didn't actually realize until my friend Dave that plays Thunder Dragon pointed it out to me that this, you don't have to use its effect for it to give the monster you summon with it protection. So if you link climb with this into one of your links, it's going to be unaffected, or not unaffected, but can't be destroyed by card effects. So it's just like built-in protection for your unbreakable board. And then Barricade Board Blocker mainly just link climbs and has an arrow that points to the left, but it also helps you empty your hand sometimes. And the Masquerena also fixes the hands that this is needed to fix, because if you activate this card to discard because you have to lower your hand count, at the end phase you're going to be forced to add Launcher, which you might be thinking Launcher is the best card. Of course, that's fine to add. But all your Infernity cards require you to have no cards in hand to activate. So then you would have to, in that same turn, instead of making I'll show like the end board in a second, but instead of making one of the level or the link 2 nightmares, you'd want to end on the IP. That way, on their turn, once they commit a card, you can IP, link away with a card, make Unicorn into the spot where your other nightmare would be, pitch the barrier that you, not the barrier, the launcher you were forced to add, spin their card, and now you still have your Tri-Gate lock, and then you got the card out of your hand, so your barriers are still alive. Ah, hit my camera. Let me fix that. But yeah, so those cards are all really, really powerful. I'm going to leave this Unicorn out. The other nightmares we play are the Phoenix and Cerberus. These, going second, let you break through boards, draw cards, try to get into more combo pieces. And going first, you use them for their effects that give you protection. Phoenix protects your linked monsters from battle and Cerberus from card effect. And you're playing them for Tri-Gate Wizard. The end board is going to typically be the Phoenix, Cerberus, Tri-Gate Wizard. And this is sadly a proxy because my buddy Dave is borrowing it currently, but an Appaloosa for 3. So this is typically how you would end with triple barrier set. And this is a 3 material Appaloosa. So you've got 3 monster negates and 4 omni negates that would be protected by battle and card effect. And that's really, really powerful with the Appaloosa, because a lot of times people will bait 1 to 2 negates and then just like try to attack over it. And no one like co-links anymore. That's like a thing of the past, and so they're not used to not being able to destroy it by battle, and now you like wasted their battle phase 2, and then they go to the next game. Ah, I dropped a card. Next I've got some Link 4s. There's double Saryuja, and then a Boral Sword. Boral Sword's not the optimal one. You'd rather it be access code, but that card costs more in this entire deck, so I don't have it. And then the Saryuja is, some lists play 3. I don't think I've ever needed a 3rd. This card, if you don't draw the Stygian Street Patrol or access to it, this card is how you continue to combo. Because you would link climb into this, and you grab the, what's it called? The Mirage off your Archfiend, and then special it off this. Oftentimes, you're making this with 3 monsters, like a link 2 and then 2 1s, because you don't want the draw effect. If your draw doesn't draw into stuff that can get rid of itself out of hand, you can kind of lock yourself into not playing, and that sucks. But you are always using that special summon effect to get the Mirage to keep comboing. And each time you do, you end up like 1 card up, I believe. Because say you resolved your Archfiend, right? And you searched the Mirage. Mirage is going to get you the 2 Necromancers. Then each Necromancer, like you would Necromancer 1, get an Archfiend, get a search. You would grab one of your barriers. And then you could set the barrier. And then you link these away into a 2. Probably not this 2, but I'm just grabbing it for example's sake. And then you use this special. You get your second Mirage out of the deck. And now you're making the Saryuja, dropping this. And so this card is going to let you plus 1 at this point. You started with a Mirage, you ended on a Mirage and a barrier. But then your Mirage is going to be able to go do the same combo again, getting you the second barrier. And that's just like one of the lines of play that helps you accumulate advantage. And then what else? I got 4 XYZs. We got double Levier, the, what's it called? Bamboozling, and the Dugaris. Dugaris comes up with this card. Let me pull him out. The Infernity Patriarch. I didn't talk about this card too much when I was showing all my Infernity monsters, but during your combo, you special this to search this, special this, overlay for this, and then just reborn this and get a search. It's another instance where you just go +1, because at this point you had 2 link materials, but here when you do this, you still have 2 link materials but the plus off the search. And then the Gossip Shadow is just, if your hand is cracked, you can play around Ibiru with it. And then the double Leviers are for the hands where you have access to the, what's it called? The Stygian Street Patrol. Same thing where this 2 monsters turn into 2 monsters, but with the Street Patrol engraved. In this deck, like, everything you do, you're trying to get as many, like, little +1s as you can so that they accumulate over time, and then you can make the huge link board. And that's it for the extra deck. I've got, like, a slight side deck put together. It's not, like, optimal because, one, budget's a thing. I don't have, like, the expanded wallet for all the cards that I think would be optimal. Like, you probably want droplets and stuff. And so this is mainly more like an idea of a side deck, because I'm still, like, brainstorming it. You also can't play hand traps in this deck because if you draw them for your 6th card, they're dead. One card I don't have that I'd like to play is Imperms, because that you can set. And then I do play this because of the same reason you could set it. The 3 Lancia. This card's a blowout in a lot of matchups, and if you draw into it as your 6th card, it's a monster you can set and not be cheating. So, like, it lets you continue to play. And that's, like, really important in this deck. You want to be setting, like, or playing monsters that can get themselves out of hand at any point in the duel, or spell traps, because you need 0 cards in hand. And in, like, relation to no cards, I play double Twin, double Cosmic. You could play, like, Lightning Storms and Feather Duster if you have them. I have a Duster. It's just these are, like, better against Prank Kids, which I don't think anyone's really playing it at my locals right now. So, like, I could just, like, cut one of these for a Duster. These are better against Eldritch, though, too. And then the Twin Twisters help empty your hand so that you can continue to play the game. And then I play these for when I go first. This card, in theory, seems good because you look at their hand, hit a hand trap, and then they rip a bad card out of your hand, and then you both draw. But if they don't have hand traps, this could let them draw into hand traps. Same as Mothman. I almost, like, this is, like, just an idea. I need to test it more before I determine if I like it or not. I don't know what other cards you'd side going first, though. Like, a lot of decks side either a Floodgate or Judgment for going first. But if your combo resolves, you set triple Judgment. And you make a Judgment in the monster zone and 3 monster negates. So I feel like you want side that guarantees your combo goes through. But we can't play cards like Cross Out or Called by the Grave, because Cross Out requires you to play the hand traps, and like I said before, drawing a hand trap ruins your combo. And so even if I'm playing like 1 Ash, 1 Nibiru, 3 Cross Out, then I have 3 cards that might help me play through a board, and then I have 2 cards that if I draw, I automatically lose the duel. And that doesn't sound like very optimal to me. And also, you have to preemptively Cross Out if you do play it. Like, because it's a quick play spell, so if you set it, you can't flip it that turn. That's why you can't play Called By. Any point where you would get hand trapped would be a point where you'd have to have 0 cards in hand to put yourself in that position. So those cards just, like, kind of suck in the deck, and that's one of the big flaws of this deck, is the cards that stop hand traps you can't play. I play a Chalice. Like, in the side deck, you'd probably play triple Droplets if you have them. I don't have them, but I still like this card. It just helps you play through interruptions. Then 3 Thunderbird and a Bigfoot. I want to get more Bigfoot, and these cards will for sure be in my side deck, because even going second, you probably just, like, take out Mothman's for a combination of 3 of these, depending on what is better against the deck you're going up against. If they're a back row deck and you're not afraid of Floodgates, probably Thunderbird. And if you're afraid of Floodgates or they have big monsters that are negates, you probably put in Bigfoot. The reason you don't main these cards is because they don't give you value going first if they get discarded, and Mothman does. But going second, these will give you value. They're either going to put a huge monster on board that could contribute to breaking boards by swinging, or it's going to help break boards when it goes to grave and its effect procs. So these cards are just kind of like decent advantage overall. But that's the deck profile. If you guys have recommendations for what I could do with the side deck, let me know. I honestly feel like the main deck and extra deck are, like, damn near perfect. There could be different lines of play to make in the extra deck. Like, the Tri-Gate Wizard play takes a lot to make, and it's only, like, for a negate. Like, all the resources that I'm putting into this is all for 1 Omni negate. So there could be a world where, like, maybe I play like an F-Zero package or something. Or if you have any other ideas in that regard, let me know. And thank you guys for watching.